Ben Larson, who's not here because he's performing tonight, or almost now. So he has that get out of jail free card. I'm Jim Jenner. I've been part of the Arts Fund for many years. We're delighted you're here, and this is the 5th year we've had visiting artists, and we can't take credit for the concept because as we got started as an organization, as most of you know, many years ago. Steve Iminshu was one of the creators of it to help the Opera House, and that morphed into our doing the sesquicentennial, because we were a bona fide 501c3, and we did a number of things like coins and posters that are behind you here, and movies and a lot of things. But we were approached by a really nice young woman who wanted us to be part of a project she was creating in Montana, which was the Artist in Residence, and it's called Open Air. And Stoney Sanso was actually, has got a connection here. She was probably the best barista that we ever had. And unfortunately it moved away. But what we have is a project where we help fund and find lodging for people who apply through her program to visit communities really all over Montana. And Philipsburg's proud to be one of them. So, Stoney, would you give a little background on what we're going to hear about tonight? And thanks, everybody. And our protocol is you can actually get up and get a drink or something if you want. So be comfortable.
I'm all wired up here. I hope I don't trip and fall on my face. If I get too serious and look stressed out, somebody crack a joke, please. So thank you. Thank you to Open Air. Thank you to Philipsburg. I've had a great time the last 3 weeks. I painted up a storm, I feel like. It's been busy and intense. I didn't get everything done that I wanted to do, but I've got a lot done. So anyway, this is informal, and you're gonna have to look over there for Jessica's talk, and if you wanna see some of my paintings, you might have to stand up, and I'm gonna pass things around too, and I would just ask that people hold the edges of the painting, not rub your elbow or whatever. Anyway, so what I had originally proposed to Open Air was that I would support the established, before I go there, I was foolish enough to consider myself local, and in fact, local was the phrase that Open Air used to describe me because I didn't need housing. Since I've been here, I've learned that I am not local at all. I'm one of these thousands of renters, or not a renter, we own a cabin up here, who invades Philipsburg for the scenery and the fun and the beer and the skiing and the lake. Anyway, so we have a cabin up above sort of Discovery that has a great view of the Pentlers, not on the lake. And we come up here, we're probably up here 3 or 4 times a month, so a fair amount. I mean, it's only 90 minutes from Missoula. So I always felt, I feel quite connected to this place, but I realized very quickly, like on day 2 or 3, that these seasonal people who invade are really not from Philipsburg. There are people here who have been born here, people who've lived 40 years and they've seen the history, and somebody who invades for the weekend to go swim in the lake is not local. But I do feel more local than I did when I came. I've met a few people.
Well, you're an honorary local now.
Yeah. I'd like to be a local. My goal when I applied was to support the establishment and the ongoing function of a plein air painting group. I can't say that happened. I did give 3, once a week I gave a lesson on plein air painting outside, and we met at different people's houses and we went and painted outside, and that was fun. But some people came from the lake too. My neighbors came. I had 3 or 4 neighbors come, and that was more than half the class. And I figured this is for Philipsburg, not for Georgetown Lake. Anyway, here I am, and that's what happened. So I'm going to talk about my paintings and sort of my progress that I went through over the last 3 or 4 weeks. And I'm going to pass them around because you can't see them from back there. So anyway. Okay, I have a green section over here, which is what I did prior to this painting, the residency. I have a girlfriend, and we go hiking and we take our paints and we sit and we paint outdoors, and it's beautiful here, and how can you not like that? And then I sort of had a wake-up call. This was actually, was my first painting because it was 3/4 done, and it's actually of Georgetown Lake, and I figured that why not do it up here? So I finished it up here. And you can see some of the things I like to paint are light and reflections and atmosphere a bit. This painting I struggled with, and I didn't like it because I didn't like the clouds. And so one of the exercises I went into was clouds, and I'll show you that in a bit. But this was, I painted this after the first painting session. I went with a friend, and we painted, and then I found this. I had painted this a year ago, and I thought, I'm in a rut. They look the same. There I am, and they're all just green stuff. And it's heavy-duty green, and they all look the same. So that's not good. So I then said, I need to do something different. I'm sorry, can people hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm not talking into the microphone. Is that okay? I can't hear you. Okay, all right. Good. No, I won't move that. So I did a series of clouds, which was just sort of me trying to wrestle with clouds. I'm sorry, I want to pass these around. So here's a simple landscape. I like landscapes. And I'm going to just hand these out and people can maybe test. This was just an exercise in puffy cumulus clouds. That's more moody. I'm just hold this up to people. So what can you do? I was mad because I should be able to paint a cumulus cloud. I painted a cumulus cloud many times, but I didn't like what I had painted. Anyway. I'm just going to pass these green ones around too. That's all right. We have something to look at. Nothing fancy, but this is plein air painting. This is going outside, sitting in the woods, and you paint what you see. So that's what I do. This is a typical thing that I do when I do plein air painting. I just go and park my chair and see what comes up. Why don't you just aim for things to go over to the table? Yeah, the table. That's good. Okay. I'm going to talk a little bit about the classes that I gave, which was the exercises I gave. I had people paint color wheels, and just the thing about watercolors is watercolors are based on water, and water flows. So colors blend and bleed into each other and merge and go places you don't want them to go, and you sort of have to plan for that. So these were just exercises for people to get the colors to mix on the paper. So more of these. And then do things like washes. Washes are a gradation where the paint goes from pale to thicker. And it takes a bit of practice. So some of these. And everybody practice those.
Go a little slower, we I'd like to see those.
I'm sort of racing through my own box, so I
Hold it
know.
up for you.
Okay.
What paints do you use?
What?
What brand of paints, watercolors do you use?
Usually what's on sale.
Windsor?
Yeah, these are using a lot.
Okay.
And here's just a picture of us outdoors painting a little bit. Then, after doing the clouds, I thought, here's one more. So, I didn't do flowers. You asked me about flowers. I'd love to paint flowers, but I gave myself other things to do. So, the flowers are beautiful. Then, if I want to paint atmosphere and clouds, I sort of went a different direction with bigger landscapes and really tried to stop doing cumulus clouds and smear it, which is what watercolor is good at. And then here's one of the lake.
Nancy, are all these plein air, or do you take photographs, or?
This was a photograph.
Yeah.
I tend to be quite reliant on photographs, and so plein air is a great time for me to get outdoors and paint anew, paint fresh, basically. And then here's some, this is actually from a photograph. It's a snow scene, but up the lake. And here's some other ones, and there you can see the cloud emphasis. Thank you. And actually, these last ones aren't my personal favorites of what I've liked. But then I did a few figures.
Did you have time to sleep?
I painted up a storm. It's been really fun.
No kidding.
Anyway, don't pass it. And just a figure that I did. And then I decided I don't have any Philipsburg in here. I don't have any Philipsburg. So what is the essence of Philipsburg that I should paint? So that's what I came up with. I spent some days walking around this town, and I realized there is a plethora of funky houses here. You had some real artistic spirit in this town, and people have had a great time sort of just, expressing themselves with their buildings and their lives and their houses. But I decided then I needed some, some of the classic scenes you get from Philipsburg. So I went, this is what I call storytelling. It's a painting that's not about the overall art or the impressions, it's telling the story of the town. So, yeah, so I did that one, and then it does seem to me the brewery is in many ways the heart and spirit of Philipsburg, right? So I had to do one of the brewery. And I spent a lot of time walking around here now. It's been really hot and smoky. So I wasn't inspired to sit outside and paint in the sun. But anyway, I did this.
And get a picture, we're holding that, we did that, just perfect.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Thank you. I'm pleased, because I've always felt intimidated a bit by figures. I don't do a lot of figures, but this was what needed to be done here. Anyway, I'll pass this around if people want to look at it.
You know, something that dawns upon me about Philipsburg, the area here, is it's Georgetown Lake is one population.
Right,
And the town is a population.
right.
But the ranches are the supporting population, and those rolls of hay, and that whole process that we're all experiencing right now is dynamic. When you think of what it means as a lifeblood, and we don't ever capture it.
Right.
Yeah, and if you think about it, these people are out there rolling hay, cutting hay, rolling hay, growing hay, watering hay, and then stacking hay so that we have a winter.
Yeah.
It's pretty dynamic, but I've seen very little art that tries to capture that human endeavor.
I think Jessica's got an advantage. She can talk maybe.
But it's explaining it.
Right, yeah, because painting, you paint what you see, what's visible, and how do you paint relationships or,
Yeah, you see some European paintings where they capture the people out in the field raking, and you see the human endeavor, and we do it here, but we don't capture it. And so,
how do people feel about being invaded by tourists or whoever we are? Do you resent it at all?
we're humans, who
Okay,
cares?
all
Let
right.
them come and go. I mean,
It's sort of
nobody
the
comes.
economy of the
The dump
town.
trucks bother me, but I can do that. But, humans, they're coming here, they're trying to capture where you live,
Uh-huh.
and then they're
Capture the
partying and
party
going
space,
back. I
too.
mean, if you think about being here, and then the rest of the year, the other 52 weeks or the other 50 weeks, you live in a condo, heck, come.
Yeah. It's our sanity.
Nancy, you really can't blame people for wanting to relocate here.
No,
That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
you guys live in
We
paradise here.
just
yeah.
hope that they treat it with the same respect that some of that the community deserves.
Okay.
You guys see this?
Do you guys still hang out at the brewery? Or is that taken over by tourists?
Oh, no,
In the summertime.
don't worry about that.
You don't worry about that.
We'll even go to the White Crown once in a while.
You don't have any standards, we'll go to the white front.
Anyway, I intend to be back here. I will be back here. If people want to paint, I'll paint with you. I'd love to paint with you, and I can talk it back and teach you about watercolor too, if you're interested. So if you're interested, come up and give me your name and I'll make a list and I'll contact people and we'll get going.
Seems like you did an incredible amount of work while you were here.
Yeah. I have to admit, because I'm local, I didn't do all the community things that were scheduled, like the art camps, because they canceled everything and it just got to be a lot. Anyway, thank you. So I'm, any other questions?